Hello everybody and welcome to the Legacy Australian Racing Championship here this season. To kick us off at Mugello, we've got 3 races for you tonight, totaling about 250 k's in length, including a full reverse grid race in the middle of there as well, by the way. Now this is the start of a new season, running from here at the middle of May all the way to the end of November, and our double-header finale at Adelaide, one of our longer nights of racing. It's great to be here for the opening round of the season from a shortened Mugello racetrack. We're using the short course, the very underused short course here at Mugello, turning right at turn 7 rather than left to make this lap time in these cars just less than 1 minute in length. These cars bringing back the Ford versus Holden classic battle that we all know and love down the years, that sadly no longer exists in the V8 Supercar Championship. However, it exists here in our championship here on Fridays, so looking forward to it over the course of this year. Myself, Ewan O'Leary and Jared Cole bringing you commentary in this opening round of the season, and it does feel like a little bit of a trip down memory lane, Jared. It does, because you forget just how many years ago it was when sadly the Ford versus Holden battles in the real world came to an end, but we're bringing them back here this year in this championship.
Absolutely, and doing it in spectacular fashion. Great to be here with you, and I am so excited that I finally get to call some supercar action with you. It's been a long time. I can't recall if we've actually ever done that together, but let's get it underway here this evening. I can't believe that these are 2014 cars. It's over a decade ago now, and I don't know where time has gone. And you grow up in Australia watching the Ford versus Holden battle. It's whether you're a motorsport fan or not, it's ingrained in you. It's just part of the national culture, and so to see it coming back here tonight in the hands of some very, very talented drivers, I am more than a little bit excited. This short course of Mugello, you're absolutely right, super underused. That final turn that gets added in to shorten it up is actually a really tricky little thing, and to see how the drivers navigate it tonight is one that I am looking forward to very much indeed.
Yeah, it's as you can see there, looking uncomplicated really as far as the track map is concerned. Just 2.54 kilometres in length. And as I say, in qualifying, we're going to see 54 second lap times be the best. That's what we had in practice, unless we get even quicker times, I suppose, through this qualifying session. But yeah, it makes for a very, very short lap indeed. But it's in keeping, is it really, with the V8 Supercar feel of things, really. And I think that is important, because it's great in our racing nowadays that we have so many Australian racetracks. Albeit one of them's Oran Park, which doesn't exist anymore, but we'll take it. It's still a great racetrack to go to. So many current Australian racetracks, especially down towards the end of the season. For example, 4 of the last 5 rounds are all at Australian racetracks. The Ben Motorsports Park, Bathurst, Detroit's in there, obviously going away from Australia, then back to Sandown and Adelaide to round out the season. It does feel these days like we don't have to search for tracks in Europe and America that feel like V8 Supercar tracks anymore in our racing. We can just go to the Australian tracks, and that hasn't been the case up until quite recently.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, and it just changes the feel. Yeah, there are a bunch of overseas tracks that can stand in. Mugello's not a bad one, honestly, but there are some things about the Australian tracks, particularly the street courses, that you can't get anywhere else. Even the American street courses just are not quite the same, and the way that these supercars navigate them is, of course, something else entirely. I reckon we should get down and check out some of the early qualifying action. What do you think, Ewan?
Yeah, well, there's a 15-minute session just underway, and because of the shortness of the lap, there's quite a lot of times already on the board. To be fair, 21 drivers have already got times on the board, and there's loads of others who have yet to set times. 8 of them, in fact, who are still out there trying to set something as we go in to look at this session. It's an awkward pit entry as well, by the way, there on the right hand side. But there you go. Miguel Costa-Texeira is the current pole sitter. 54.8 from him. I expect to see these times very, very close though across the board, because the top 5 covered by less than 2 tenths of a second, and because this lap is so short, we will see some very, very close times indeed. But unlike what I was just saying about the Australian racetracks this is on one of those occasions to make it a 10-round season. We've gone around and found 3 international racetracks, so Mugello Dakota and Detroit have been found. They all, with their layouts that have been chosen, the short one here at Mugello, a shorter one at Cota as well as Detroit, which feels to be much like a V8 supercar track anyway. They've managed to find some circuits that suit to make this a 10-race calendar. And yes, you could argue this track is very, very short, but so are some of the tracks on the supercars calendar, like Tasmania, for example. So it's, as I say, absolutely fits in with the series, even if this circuit is really not. I mean, I've never commentated on this short layout of Mugello before. It is very, very rarely used.
It really is. I had to actually go and rebuild a camera pack for us for this tonight's coverage, because in all of the races I've covered, we've never come to the short circuit of Mugello. So it's actually really nice to see it get a run, though. I adore the short circuits. You know, you don't have to have a really long and complicated lap to have good racing. A lot of the time it's actually about the battles that the circuit creates. And this one tonight, I think, is going to bring us plenty of that. Long front straight, heavy braking into turn one. It's a supercar classic. Getting your moves done under brakes and diving up the inside is where it's at. They will have to be careful though. Some of the things that we've seen from these cars, particularly with the Soldier On charity event that we ran not so long ago, which was actually the reason this whole series kicked off, for the record. It really showed just how much these cars are just a bit less of a handful than the new Gen 3 supercars. But as Craig Bell demonstrates so ably at just the right time for us, the damage that these things take from a little bit of a punt to the wall is quite significant. And so the drivers are going to have to really balance the greater ability they've got to have a bit more control over these cars compared to the Gen 3s, with the fact that the payoff if you get it wrong is actually far, far more significant in terms of the damage you can do to the car. It does not take much at all to damage the suspension on these, and you probably won't see as much door banging here as you would in a Gen 3 supercar race.
Yeah, well, that'll be the hope anyway, if the damage is more severe.
You'd hope.
Let's hope that remains the case, but you know, it's going to be difficult, especially in the early laps, to do that. Good evening to everybody watching on at home, by the way. Plenty of messages coming in, and Matty Morgan making a great point already about the distribution of the turns around here. He's got 9 corners. I'm only counting 7, but either way, only 2 of them to the left, which is a very low number compared to the long right-handers that you've got, for example, around here, including the last 2 turns, which you can really maybe count as one, although there is a tiny straight between them, I suppose, as you head downhill there through Savelli into the pit straight again, where you cross the line. That is going to take a beating on these tyres, and it's probably something that we don't actually talk about enough when we're talking about V8 supercars, really. Not only the rear tyres, obviously where all the power is going to, but also each side, if you like, whether that be the right side or the left side, depending on what racetrack we're at. And I think this could be one of the more strenuous ones of the season. Obviously, it feels difficult to say that with Philip Harding coming up second, because that's going to run it close, you'd imagine. But the tyres here surely are going to take a beating. The reason being is because the temperatures are not exactly too helpful. 40 degrees Celsius on the racetrack at the moment. It's not an absolute scorcher, but it doesn't really need to be for the tyres to be going through some real hurt here at this track.
Yeah, this is just about as close as you get, I think, to oval racing in a V8 supercar. Mugello short, there's not a lot of differentiation in that corner direction, and it is definitely something the driver's going to have to manage tonight. Aaron Gilbert looks set for a good lap here. Can he jump up from 8B, go up into first? Finally knocks the faster time down. We're into the 54.7s now. But have a look at the distribution of that lap. The top 22 drivers all within a second. It's going to be a very, very close run thing here tonight.
It absolutely is going to be close. We've got 3 races as shown at the beginning. I'll run through the qualifying order in a moment, but yeah, 3 races. First one 60 kilometres in length, second one 80 k's, and that will be the full reverse grid race, and then a final third race of 60 k's as well. That will be, I presume, the third race set by the finishing order of the second at the end of tonight. So this will be the only qualifying session of the day as far as I'm aware, as this qualifying session draws in towards its final minutes. 5 minutes to go, and there's the awkward pit lane here. You might be wondering why everybody's coming in and not towing. Well, there's rules against that in this series. There's an escape rule and so on. So there's it does make it feel a little bit more realistic, and it's going to make it feel like that in the race as well, where there are possibilities for safety cars. Drivers can't just escape whenever they want.
No, as Phil Manuel tries his best to escape through the kitty litter out to somewhere beyond the circuit. I don't know if he's going for a quick gelato maybe before the race, but he is a long way off the track. I wanted to just jump back and keep an eye there on Colin Bruns as he came in with a meatball flag. We were talking a little earlier about the damage and how easy it is to really put these cars into a state where they have to come in for those repairs. Go back and take a look at the damage that Colin Bruns has sustained there. He's gone reasonably heavily into the wall, but you know, if you hit head on, you can often get away with that in the Gen 3 cars. You know, perhaps not quite that pace, but that's enough to earn you a meatball flag under the iRacing regs here. So it's definitely something the driver going to have to be really careful about. Thankfully, Mugello not a huge number of walls that are super threatening. But certainly enough that they'll have to make sure they don't accidentally get punted off some of these turns and into the tyre barriers, because with such a short lap, you know, a bit of time for a repair, if you choose not to use that fast repair, you might be giving up a full lap or two by the time you get it all fixed.
Yeah, it's a very short lap and a perhaps big repair as well. As we see the final 5 minutes here, Aaron Gilbert making his way out of the pit lane here to try and defend that leading position that he holds. 54.6 from him, the only one into the 54.6s so far tonight, of Gavin Cox, Phil Manuel, Miguel Costa-Texeira, Michael Hammond rounding out the top 5. 29 drivers with times on the board. Here's Brett Loxton, though, who is the 30th driver to get in the field tonight. A very late comer, I've got to say. He wasn't even in here at the start of qualifying. Just get a time on the board, try and be not last, I suppose, is the target for him, and then race his way through in race number 1 here tonight. It's a brilliant field, isn't it? 30 drivers. It's a perfect number for a V8 supercar field, really, even if a little bit more than what you normally see, actually, in the real world these days. But yeah, I think a perfectly sized field. Not too few by any means, but certainly not too many.
Yeah, it's a good number to have, and particularly with a track like this. I don't think you'd want too many less than about, I don't know, probably 20 odd drivers around Mugello, but you start to get too many more, particularly on the short circuit. And look, I think we'll see this into turn 1. On lap 1 of the first race. It's going to get really crowded with 30 drivers, so it adds that little bit of just group management to the driver's workload, and we'll see how they all handle it tonight. I don't know how I'd feel about doing 50 odd cars here tonight on this short layout. I don't even know how you'd fit them all on the grid, or if this grid even is capable of taking that many cars. Honestly, I don't know if it actually extends around the corner or not. I don't think I've ever tried it.
I don't know. I've never commentated on this circuit before, this layout, I should say. Obviously Mugello before, but I've never done the short layout. I've raced it before. It's a very unusual situation where I've raced something where I haven't qualified, because I don't race anything anymore. But we will have space for everybody here, but I'm not sure what would happen, to be honest, if we had, you know, the maximum iRacing 60 or 55 or whatever in the field. That really would be too many, probably. But anyway, it would be interesting to see what would happen. But anyway, we won't find out on this occasion. And Miguel Costa-Texeira going quite quickly towards the line here. Fifth position, best of the Holdens as things stand. He's been pushed down to 5th in the last few minutes by Mahoney, who is going to end the session 4th, unless Costa-Texeira goes faster, but he cannot. It looks like everybody's sort of reached their limit here. We're in the final minute of qualifying now, and there's not too many improvements happening.
No, it is one of those rare tracks where if you started a lap before that 14-minute mark came around, you might just get away with it after all. Of course, I can never remember Ewan, whether it's the heat races or the single races that cut you off right at the time, and I always get it wrong whenever, I guess. So I'm just not even going to take it until it tonight. We're either going to have it cut off in about 10 seconds, or the drivers out on track are going to get to finish their laps. Matthew Day set a fastest first sector. Incidentally, how many tracks do we ever go to that only have 2 sectors?
I can't think of many. Absolutely. Matthew, it's just got off there. That might have been quite interesting. That is unfortunate
for Matthew Day. He'll finish in 13th as we get ready to go racing for race number 1 here in the Legacy Australian Racing Championship.
Here we go. Aaron Gilbert takes the pole in front of Gowing Cox, with Phil Manuel and Joe Mahoney taking out an all Ford front 2 rows. Then 2 Holdens, Miguel Costa and Michael Hammond, Benjamin Smith and Lockie Delphin. Then on row 4 in front of Ryan Muller and Mark Poynton running out the top 10. Brendan Loxton, who got in very late, got up to 11th in the end, of Ryan Borg, with Matthew Day and Henry King on row 7. Matt Hall and Dean Alessi. Then row 8 ahead of Dan Stevens and Bray Loveridge. Colin Bruns and David Dudell round out the top 20. 21st for James Clark is ahead of Stephen Banks. Cooper Cottrell ahead of John Holton on row 12. Then Wayne Taylor, the first driver over a second off the pole, with Matthew Mellor. Charlie Hines and Craig Bell on row 14 in front of Scott Watts and Josh Hines to round out the 30-car field. Now they'll get themselves onto the grid and ready for that steam down in towards turn number 1. Going to be an exciting opening to the Legacy Australian Racing Championship here tonight.
So it's time to place your bets for you, Ewan, and for everyone in the chat. Just how far do you reckon we're getting before we see the first safety car tonight? I think about corner 3. That's my prediction for this evening.
Does feel like lap 1 is likely, doesn't it?
And it's only a short lap. They don't have a lot of time to do it, but I reckon we're going to see some drivers go pretty hard out there tonight. And I suspect it might end up with exactly that as an outcome. As we get most of the drivers on the grid, we're just waiting on one more, by the look of things, as Lockie Delphin jumps onto the grid, and we should be under starters' orders in no time.
Somebody's disappeared again. Dolphin, look at Dolphin. Delphin, rather, not a dolphin, has pulled onto the grid again after a brief moment off, so not sure what that was to fix, but here we go. We should get the lights on now, and here we go. The Legacy Australian Racing Championship set to get underway. Ford versus Holden is back. And we're underway for the first race of 3 tonight. And what a great start that is from the Holden of Michael Hammond, who's already made up to 4th place. Looking now on the right-hand side to make it to 2nd with a 3-wide moment here. Hammond side-to-side contact, late on the brakes, down the inside. What a start. Michael Hammond moves up to 2nd in front of Manuel. And then it's Mahoney and Cox who are side-by-side along with Miguel Costa who's getting lent on there. A spin in the background. Little bit of contact. Another spin, in fact, as one goes around. Looks like a few have been delayed, but everybody will get going again from there. There'll be little bits of damage, but for the most part, not too bad on the start. Gavin Cox still side by side here with Mark Poynton, who's trying to get up to 7th. Not a good start for Cox. He's down to 8th at the moment, although it will be 9th now. He's pushed wide. Loxton goes through. Terrible start for Gavin Cox here, down 7 places on this first lap.
Not the start he would have wanted, but he did stay out of trouble at least, so it could be worse, as we see a few drivers starting to drop back with slowdowns already popping up along the way. A number of drivers caught up in that early incident. Josh Hines, Dean Alessi, Colin Bruns, all ending up getting spun around. There's a fair bit of movement still going on through turn 1 as everyone tries to get some temp into these tyres and then get some grip underneath them. Nobody wasting any time here. They know it's a short lap. They know 27 laps is not going to last long at all. And it is on for young and old here tonight, Ewan.
And absolutely is. Slow down for Gilbert at the front, by the way. Bad news for his lead, as that will come right down. Michael Hammond under pressure from Phil Manuel, but contact with the wall. car off. Coming through the middle sector, or the middle part of the lap I should say, there isn't a middle sector. It's Benjamin Smith who's off straight on, and you wonder whether that is going to bring out our first safety car of the season. We'll wait and see. Hammond meantime is into the lead here. Gilbert has dropped down to 4th place with that slowdown penalty, but Hammond forced to defend from Phil Manuel coming down in towards turn 1. He does so. What a start from Hammond, up 5 places already.
That's the dream start, isn't it? Ryan Mueller as well in 5th is up 4 places. These guys making hay while the sun shines, getting up through that congested field early on, and it does look as though we do have the safety car called.
We do. So, crash on lap 2 results in safety car early lap 3. It's Benjamin Smith who is straight on down there at turn 4. Matarassi, and he's got a meatball as well. The way that car went straight on and straight into the wall makes it feel like there was contact before he managed to find the actual barrier there. As Hammond brings them onto the pit straight here, and will bring them towards Nathan Allen, who's our safety car driver tonight. I can't show you the amount of series where I've seen Nathan Allen drive safety cars.
He's a bit of a regular. I think it's probably just about his pace for driving. And I only say that because I know I'll hear from him later on that.
He's going as fast as he can, and for the rest of them that means that they're just stuck behind the safety car. So that's good news. But there you go. He's in the Legacy Porsche as well. So all the old cars being brought out here for this.
Indeed. And look, I have to give a special shout out and a very big thank you to, of course, Henry King, who is behind Team Jing Shifters, but also behind the gorgeous Simple Racing Broadcast safety car livery. He sent me a little bit of a sneak peek of that ahead of the race tonight. Not something I was expecting for tonight, but I will absolutely take it. Looks lovely. Thank you, Henry.
Yeah, indeed. I don't know if there is any replay of that incident for Smith. He's towed back to pit lane now after bringing out this safety car. He's about to go 2 laps down if indeed he cannot get that repaired quick enough. Is this the whole story here? Coming out of turn 3, little bit of side-to-side contact with a Holden, then with a Ford. Where he gets turned and then turned proper. Straight on, straight into the wall. Now, which of the Fords was that? David Duddle, it looked like, 39, which, well, looked like a bit of a sort of tempers fraying there already. I mean, you don't want that so early in the race, do you? But looked like tempers were fraying already then. Duddle made no effort really to make sure that he didn't put Smith into the wall. And, well, those two might be getting a talking to by the steward a little bit later on, but that's what's brought out this first safety car of the season, and it was quite a moment on the second lap there, when things really still hadn't settled itself out from the start, to be honest.
No, and that's part of the joy of such a short lap as well. You know, we're 5 laps in, but really does still feel like lap 1 or 2 racing at most other circuits, where everyone's just trying to get into that groove and get settled in. You did see just how badly damaged that front right was from just that brush of the tyre barrier. That's exactly what we were talking about earlier with the amount of damage that these cars take from impacts with the wall. You might get away with glancing off it like that in a Gen 3, but completely snapping those steering arms in that car with that brush of the wall, and it was well and truly done before it even got off the track. That's the sort of thing where, look, I don't know if it's a case of tempers fraying or just maybe some of these drivers being very comfortable with the Gen 3s and just how much you can kind of argy-bargy, push and shove your way around there. But it really doesn't quite come off the same way in these older Falcons and Commodores. As we get ready to go racing again, Michael Hammond will take us onto the main straight, and we are green flag racing. He gets on it nice and early and starts to build a lead already.
Yeah, what a start from Michael Hammond after qualifying 6th. He was in 2nd by turn 1. He's up into the lead by lap 3 it was. Now he brings us to the green again. Phil Manuel defends from Migo Costa towards turn 1, and Aaron Gilbert trying to regain these places as well. Don't forget, it was Gilbert who was on the pole position here in this early race of the day, the first race of the day. Dropped down with a slowdown penalty, looking to regain these places now, as you can see from 4th.
Yeah, still plenty of time in this one. despite the short laps, it's a longer distance, and all of these events here with LARC, they're looking to run around about 250 k's total of racing for each race event tonight. That's spread across 3 races. It won't always be the case that it's spread across 3, but it does mean that there's quite a bit of time to play with as Ryan Miller gets that rear end all locked up under brakes coming down the hill into that final turn, manages to keep it together, and just looks ahead to this battle that's shaping up between Miguel Costa-Teixeira and Phil Manuel. Manuel holding the inside line, trying to keep him at bay. Aaron Gilbert just sitting there waiting for something to happen and looking to pick off a couple spots at once here if he can. It's side by side through corner after corner after corner here. Finally Manuel gets the nose ahead and looks to shut that down. Now can Costa-Teixeira respond?
He's going to look to the inside, but won't go for it there. Manuel up to second position at the moment, early in this race. Here's Henry King and Dan Stevens side by side in towards the second of the 2 chicanes on the sort of back half of this lap, if you like. More close to a big slide there from Stevens. He's going to back out of it on the way towards turn 6, and round the outside goes Henry King into 13th position. Battles up and down this field as things stand. Sadly, Benjamin Smith is indeed looking out of this race, and so looks like 29 left in the field. Close for the lead again. Phil Manuel is looking on Hammond for the lead. Gilbert looking to get past Teixeira as well. As you can see through turn number 1, he's on the outside line for 2, gives him the inside at 3 though for Gilbert. Oh, and he's got it, and Teixeira gets over the curb. There goes Muller up into 4th place as well.
Just been waiting on that one, has Miller, and makes it stick very, very nicely. Phil Manuel and Aaron Gilbert ahead, still trying to just sort themselves out. Hammond though, looking very, very calm and in control ahead of what is a pretty imposing line of 8 cars behind him. 7 if you decide that Gavin Cox is too far off the back, but it's what supercar racing is all about. This battle group that you get forming up here is what I remember from watching this so many times as a kid. You get these battles that go on for lap after lap after lap, and they are not done yet. We're going too wide again into turn 1, and so, as Aaron Gilbert has a huge look up the inside and almost followed through by Joe Mahoney as well.
Side by side a little bit further down between Poynton and Loxton. Oh, close. Wow, Poynton had to really save that as Brett Loxton got into the side of him there just for a moment. Good save though through 2 and 3. Here comes Loxton again looking down the inside. Can't quite manage it. Look at this front group though. 9 involved, you could say, if you're counting these 3 in as well. Poynton, Loxton and Cox, who are admittedly a little bit further away than maybe they'd like to be. This is all in one line really as we come through lap 9, 1/3 of this opening race of the day complete, and what an exit that is for Miguel Costa-Teixeira. Another chance in towards turn 1. It feels like every lap something, especially down in towards turn 1, is going on here. A look down the inside from Teixeira. He goes for it while Hammond protects his lead. There goes Miguel Costa-Teixeira down the inside. They're leaning on each other, and he gets back past Ryan Muller after losing that place only a lap or so ago.
It's really stark, the difference in aero particularly between these and the new Gen 3 supercars. You really don't get the kind of toe in the later model supercars that you did in these ones, and it's a great thing to see. It adds a whole different dimension to these front straights as they get tucked in behind and gives them just that slight advantage. Miller has a big moment out of the corner there on the debris and has to back right out of it. He's going to drop all the way to the back of this pack. That's really unfortunate timing to hit that, but it has cost him. Doesn't mean the battle stopped though, because now Brett Loxton immediately straight into it with Mark Poynton as they get down the front straight, and look at him closing across the painted curve, and it goes to the pit exit to try and hold that inside line from Poynton. Is he going to get up inside? I think he'll do it pretty easily here in the end.
You don't see that too often. Somebody using the pit exit there to get down the inside and through. Meantime, so many battles up and down the field at the moment. We've got a pit stop in the background for Matthew Day, by the way. First pit stop under green of this season on lap number 10. But yeah, this the field, the battling that we're seeing at the front is being repeated all the way down, as you can see, right the way down through this field. But it's hard to take your eyes off what's going on at the front at the moment. Michael Hammond still leading here but Phil Manuel looks like he's really applying the pressure, and Aaron Gilbert does still look like the quickest driver in this field at the moment. He qualified on pole earlier on, and he's looking to get that second place back again. Miguel Costa-Texeira's right in here as well, looking to move down the inside, I'm sure. Where they're going to pop out? Well, they're going to pop alongside us. It doesn't look like it. They're all defending the inside line, so fearful of each other diving down the inside.
I think that's about all you can do in just turn one here. It's such a long run, you've got so much time to set up to defend it. You've got to be crazy if you don't. A big slide there from Aaron Gilbert, gets over those sausage curves, manages to hold on to it. And that's another one of the differences. I think the slip angle that these cars seem happy to hold on to and still maintain speed is just that little bit higher. Makes for some really impressive cornering efforts.
The front group down to 7 now with these battles, but it's a fascinating group of 7 at the front, with about half of this race complete here. The opening 60-kilometre race of the day, the reverse grid race coming up second, by the way, for the second race of today. Here's Ryan Borg, going to work his way past Bray Loveridge and finally move ahead of where he qualified in 12th here for Borg. He'll get down the inside and through, and there goes Stevens on Hall as well, Matt Hall, although that's way too deep from Dan Stevens, and he'll give up that place again. I guess it's the big surprise so far in this field, I would say, that Ryan Borg is all the way down here and fighting only for 11th position. I would have expected probably to see him a bit further up the front.
Yeah, it is. Oh, look at the lock up in the background from Lockie Delphin, just leaving smoke signals all the way around this track. And I think we're getting to the point where we might be starting to see these tyres really feeling it now after so much sustained pressure on those outside tyres around this circuit. Look at Mark Poynton though, up the inside. We'll call it the inside as he comes to turn 1, and really just trying to stamp his authority on that. Trying to get alongside Brett Loxton before turn 1. I don't know if he's quite going to get there this time around, but Loxton's got to be watching mirrors now.
Well, that's a good pass from Gilbert to get back past Miguel Costa-Texeira, but is it going to work? Side by side through 2 and 3, and round the... Oh, there's a load of gravel on the inside there, and that didn't help Gilbert at all. Miguel Costa-Texeira around the outside, and he gets straight back into 3rd again. This is just relentless at the front of this field. So far, though, despite all the positions changing, amazing that Michael Hammond has been able to hold on to the lead for so long.
Yeah, it really is. No one's managed to get past him, and yet there's been so much back and forth behind. You've got to wonder what it is that he's doing differently. Is it just that he's defending so aggressively with no one in front of him to potentially hold him up? I'm surprised that there hasn't been anyone managed to make a move down the straight here, although Phil Manuel's really thinking around it. And look at Costa-Texeira goes to the outside. Manuel almost getting around the outside. Now there's going to be trouble here. A little bit of contact on the inside. Aaron Gilbert pushes on through. Manuel's going to have the inside to defend this one, but straight back to the outside if he can't get ahead here. This is, look at all that gravel on the very apex of that turn. Yeah, it's a lot that's been dragged on. You'd usually expect it to clear a little bit quicker than that, but apparently we have some drivers that are just cutting that corner regularly and dragging more and more on, is my guess. Or contact again from Gilbert and Manuel.
Wow. He's going to get through now, surely, Gilbert, the next double right-hander, and Manuel's off! Oh, he's going to go through the gravel here, and he's going to drop loads of places. Miguel Costa-Texeira goes through, Loxton goes through, Poynton, and here comes Mahoney as well. John Mahoney through. That is really disappointing for him, and meantime, the battle for 3rd is going to explode as a result. Loxton is going to really gain here. On the way down the hill towards turn number 1, here comes Poynton now as well. Not quite going to be able to get through and make it 3 wide, but Brett Loxton wasn't even in this session at the start of qualifying. By the end, he was just outside the top 10. Now he's into 3rd with just over 10 laps to go in this first race.
Yeah, a little bit of discussion going on in the chat by the look of things around who's been maybe putting a little bit more practice than they have let on for this series, and yeah, certainly a couple of drivers here that I know have definitely put in some solid time in these things, and it's showing in just the progress they're making through this field and the results they're getting. You're talking about battle groups though in these cars and just how much they tend to form up. All the way back in this battle for 20th, the 19th really, with Wayne Taylor at the head of it. You've got Taylor, Hines, Mellor, Holton, Bruns and Cottrell all in exactly the same kind of battle that we've been watching out of the front of this group. It's just a little bit further down through the field. You'd love to see great battling going on right throughout in any league. It's always good fun to watch.
Yeah, it absolutely is a fantastic watch at the moment. So much battling happening, especially for it's not only, you know, down the back end of the field where there's a runaway winner or whatever. This is for the lead, for the front positions. It's just fantastic to watch at the moment. Hammond still leading the way in front of Gilbert, who's just challenging here at the moment. It's down to a front two, but if these two start fighting, which I'm absolutely sure they will do, then some more could join in from behind. But Aaron Gilbert will want to retake this position because he, don't forget, held the lead right from the very beginning here. As we got this race underway, he was on the pole, and he did hold the lead initially as well before a slowdown penalty dropped him down. It looks like he's going for the lead there. Outside line towards turn number one. On Hammond, he's braking late, trying to get to the inside for turn two, but he's not going to manage that. I don't think that's too long of a way round to manage, and indeed it is. He can't quite manage it. Gilbert slots in behind Michael Hammond, who holds on to this lead again. Further back, there's more fighting. That's Phil Manuel making contact with Ryan Muller, and here comes Gavin Cox trying to take the positions as well.
Manuel is pushing on very hard. He wants to be back up amongst this, and I'm not surprised at all to see that from him. Driver we know very, very well from the ASR series on Tuesday nights. Good to see him getting in the mix with these cars as well, and certainly a couple of names I recognise floating around in the chat from the ASR series as well, who maybe are regretting not getting in on this season, but hey, there's going to be more of these, I suspect. It's been a very, very popular one, and with good cause. Nothing like a Falcon Commodore battle.
Here it is again. In towards turn number one. Hammond versus Gilbert, Ford versus Holden. Hammond on the inside. Brown on the outside from Gilbert, and there's going to be contact. Oh, that was close. Good save from Aaron Gilbert, and he takes the lead as a result. There's others catching now as a result of this too. Brett Loxton leading the charge. 5 for the lead again. That was close to contact and close to a spin, but Gilbert holds on and he gets the race lead back again.
What was that, 19 laps that Michael Hammond was out in front? Was it all 19 or was it just the 18? Either way, he's been out there for so long. I don't know if he remembers what it looks like to be behind another car at this stage, but he's about to be under huge pressure. Loxton uses the grass up the inside to just try and get a slightly better line. You can see the outside of that corner exit getting absolutely punished as these drivers use up every single millimetre of this track to try and gain some speed advantage as they come down the main straight. Look at this, we're going too wide again into turn one, maybe even 3 wide if Costa Texeira decides to have too much more to do with this. Michael Hammond still under massive pressure, and those rear tyres are starting to give.
As you'd imagine at this stage in this race, it's been a remarkable race. Really has. Here comes Loxton again on Miguel Costa Texeira. This is going to allow the front two to get away, and with Gilbert getting away from Hammond, it might settle the race win. Oh, it's contact! They somehow make it through, and here comes Poynton looking to regain third ahead of Brett Loxton. He's down the inside for turn 6. He can't manage it quite. Mahoney's closing in here. Muller and Costa Texeira in there as well. Phil Manuel, Gavin Cox as well. This is no longer the fight for the lead, but it's a similar size of group, and it's for a podium place here with 6 or 7 laps to go here.
Look at the gap that Hammond has opened up here on this group, despite struggling a little to hold them off for a moment there. But then look even again at Aaron Gilbert. As soon as he got the nose clean, he has just started to waltz away out in front. I wonder if that's just a bit better tyre management over that opening sort of half, three quarters of this race that's allowed him to do that at this stage, because he seems to have found some pace that just doesn't exist in anyone else's car at the moment.
Yeah, well, it looks like it is going to be a victory, and we've shown so far, though, even despite Gilbert's pace, that with all the fighting going on, it's very possible to keep a good driver down for a while around this racetrack. And don't forget, the second race is going to be a full reverse grid, which is going to be massive, really, in the field size that we have here tonight. Here comes Miguel Costa Texeira again on Ryan Muller. It's all the way down to 7th place now, is Texeira, and so he's going to be looking for a move on the way down the inside here, as is Cox on Manuel in towards turn number 1. Both of those on the inside line are going to prevail, but 6 laps only left in this one, with this one included. And yeah, sad that this race is coming to an end, but still 2 more to come, and perhaps an even more chaotic second race on its way as well.
Yeah, no, I will be honest, I haven't done the numbers on just whether or not the fuel tank limit is going to force an absolute pit stop in this second longer race here tonight. I don't know that it will necessarily, but it could be pushing pretty close. I don't know if anyone else there in our chat has done any numbers on what the consumption is around this place, and what a 67% fuel tank cap would look like for these cars. But if I know the guys who put this together, I suspect it might challenge these drivers a little bit on their pit strategy. Oh, that's not ended well for John Holton. Manages to pull it up just the tiniest nudge of the wall. We got away with that one a little bit more easily than he had expected.
Yeah, maybe. Down towards turn number 1. Delphin in front of Loveridge here, and manages to squeak through into 11th place. Here comes Dan Stevens as well on the outside, turns the insides for Loveridge. So this is, oh dear, this is going to be tight, and Stevens does get through on Bray Loveridge now. Hall and King side by side just behind as well. So many fights happening up and down the field here. We've obviously been looking at the leaders, but it doesn't explain half of it. There's been so much happening here in this first race, and here comes Stevens on Delphin again. So much gravel being brought onto the racetrack as well. Look at this, as everyone's getting a little bit ragged now towards the end of the race. Big slide out of the final turn as well.
Rocky Delphin leaves more smoke around this track every time he brakes than most celebrating supercar drivers do on their burnout laps. Honestly, I don't think I've seen anyone drag a lock tyre through as many corners as we've seen from Delphin, and it's starting to really impact the brake bias, maybe just a little bit too far rear. Look at it again, and I can't quite figure out why it is, other than perhaps the way he's got that brake bias set. But he seems to be about the only car on track that is braking right up to the limit. Look at it again on the inside corner as it lifts up. The weight comes off it and just locks up that little bit each and every time. It's going to cost him more and more time as this goes on.
Chewing away at these tyres that are not going to be changed in the opening race of the day. Track temperature is dipping now. It's but still 36.5 degrees though. They come down towards turn 1. That was Poynton, Loxton having a little look on Hammond here, who's looking to hold on to second. I think quite telling actually that despite having a gap here, Hammond, he has been caught by Loxton, Poynton and so on, and Gilbert has not had the same. So yeah, I think just show a little bit about the pace, but Hammond has shown that it's not all about pace. You do need to race your way through as well. The move he made down towards turn of 1 on lap number 1 has effectively earned him the right to fight for a second place finish here.
And fighting still around this 20th position. This group just cannot. Oh, big slide there. Manages to keep it under control, but the 3 teammates, all from Middle Finger Racing, Alessi, Bruns and Taylor, all sending it and trying to claim the same piece. Look at this, we're 3 wide down the main straight. Poynton, Loxton and Hammond towards turn 1.
Goodness me, Poynton on the inside is going to get through here. First, Loxton goes a bit deep on the brakes and blocks Hammond effectively from a podium position. This would be a real upset for Hammond because he's held that podium for so long and he's looking to win it back again. He's getting down the inside for turn 3. What a move that is, moving down the inside. He's ahead of Loxton now. Is he going to get clear in towards the next chicane? He does. That is a great, well, not quite clear, but he does hold the place. That was a great fight back from Hammond there, and it's got him back to the podium with the 1 lap to go signal about to be given for Gilbert in this lead.
And Gilbert's lead out to almost 5 seconds. I don't know where he's manufactured. Oh, there's a big touch there. That sends Hammond off the track, and that's him out of the running. Surely, almost contact that was devastating as well to, I think that was Phil Manuel or Ryan Mueller on the way through. Really unfortunate bit of contact there with Loxton out of that final turn. But again, we're 2 and 3 wide into turn 1 on this final lap, and nobody ready to hand this podium over at any stage. And now Loxton runs very, very wide, and all of a sudden it's Costa Texera and Mahoney.
Yeah, they're going to be the ones fighting over this now, but the big main overtaking chance coming down towards turn 1 has already been and gone. Here comes Muller looking up the inside now on Loxton as well. Can't quite manage it there, but out front, Aaron Gilbert is going to go on to win this race. Pole sitter goes on to win, and you might think, well, that made for a boring race, but certainly didn't down the field. There's Gilbert crossing the line now. He takes the victory in the opening round, the opening race of the Legacy Australian Racing Championship here this season. It's going to be Mark Poynton who finishes second, and Miguel Costa Texera does indeed hold on for a podium.
Not a lot in it in the end, but a half second more than the margin we're seeing from some of the others. Dan Stevens, Ray Loveridge, have a look at that, 500s, 200s, not a lot in that at all. Most of the rest of the field reasonably spread out from their back, but geez, there were some close finishes to that first race. Bodes well for what we've got left ahead of us here tonight, Neil.
Oh, we've still got 2 more races to come. An 80-kilometre race next, and it's a reverse grid with the entire field. I'm imagining, including Benjamin Smith, who's spent the whole time repairing that meatball, unfortunately, in this opening race, but it is who takes the victory in front of Poynton and Miguel Costa Texera, who finished on the podium. Joe Mahoney and Brett Loxton were in that fight. So was Ryan Muller, Gavin Cox, Michael Hammond, Phil Manuel and Ryan Borg, all filtering out the rest of the top 10. Outside that 10 was Henry King, who got ahead of the next group, including Dan Stevens, Bray Loveridge, Lockie Delphin and David Duddle. Matt Hall was outside the top 15 there on his own, ahead of Stephen Banks. James Clark, Cooper Cottrell and Dean Alessi round out the top 20. 21st for Colin Bruns, who was just ahead of Matthew Mellor and Wayne Taylor. John Holton was last driver on the lead lap. Bit of a delay for Scott Watts, Matthew Day, Craig Bell, who will finish 1 lap down. Charlie Hines and Josh Hines were both 5 laps down. Benjamin Smith retired very early on in that race. I won't go through the grid because it is basically just that, the opposite way round. Benjamin Smith on the pole here in front of Josh Hines, Charlie Hines, all of whom retired before the end of that race. It looks like there's been a very short gridding process that's caught a couple of guys off guard, including Josh Hines, who's not there, and including Matthew, not Hines, sorry, Matthew Day anyway. It's a very quick turnaround indeed before we get this race underway, but Smith was ready for it and he gets us underway down in towards turn number 1. The top guys from that previous race right down towards the back. It is Hines who's actually missing out here at the moment. Same for Delphin as well, who's down the back of the field. At least Day is in the pit lane looking to get out and going here on the opening lap of this race. But here are the top guys from the previous race filtering their way through opening lap with 4 wide through turn 3. You do not see that very often, and for good reason as well. Oh, as they bump and bang on the way down towards turn 4. There was wheel-to-wheel contact in there. Oh, there's a big crash towards turn 4. It was always going to happen. There were 4 wide at the previous turn, and a big smash up through turn 4. Loxton involved, as was Hall and Watts as well, who both got meatballs here on the opening lap of race 2.
Well, it had to happen, didn't it? You can't hold 4 wide around many circuits without it coming unstuck. And we saw one of the cars there, I think it might have been either Bruns or perhaps Hines, just catch the outside grass and end up sliding sideways. And at that point, couldn't do anything to stop the slide into the pack. And it's caused some massive damage for both Hall. Scott Watts has got a meatball in there as well. Stephen Banks has ended up with a black flag, which I'm not quite certain whether that was.
I think it was a jump start.
Yeah, it must have been a jump start because I didn't see anything from race control coming through. Geez, what a wild opening to that lap, and we've got more action.
Oh,
as Michael Hammond goes around.
A second great start for him, by the way, in race 2 here tonight. And spins around in towards the middle part of the lap. But this race is not going to calm down, I wouldn't imagine, throughout tonight. Benjamin Smith leads the way and might well have the chance to run away, because the amount of fighting that's going to go on back here is just unbelievable. Top guys trying to get themselves from that previous race, trying to get themselves back through the field in this full reverse grid. And don't forget, it's not only about this race, it's about the 3rd race. There's another 27 lap race to come after this one, and that is where the top guys are going to have to be towards the front four and trying to get to the front for race 3, because there's no qualifying session ahead of race 3, no additional qualifying session. Where they finish here is where they're going to be, and so it's important for this point score, but the next one as well.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it's always the challenge with full reverse grids, isn't it? You have these really, really quick drivers that are trying to make their way back through a congested field of drivers that have been sometimes significantly slower, although probably not the case so much here tonight, than what those drivers were doing. And it's so tempting for those quicker drivers to push through really hard, really early on and try and maximise the advantage and leave some of the others behind, getting caught up in the traffic. But as we've already seen, it comes with risk factors. Ryan Borg has picked up a meatball somewhere. I'm just trying to look at that. Oh, there you go. Front left is barely hanging on by the look of things. So there's been some contact there as well, somewhere along the way. We're going to have to go back and have a look at that earlier incident when we get a moment to. But there is just so much happening while everyone tries to get this sorted out. 4 laps in. And I don't know if these guys realise that there's still another 32 to go, because they're racing like it's the second to last.
Yeah, I'm not sure there is going to be much settling down in this race, to be honest. I mean, Borg's in now, so I mean, I didn't see a big incident for him. It wasn't one of those where he went off the road in a big way or whatever, but he managed to pick up a meatball for whatever reason, and very unfortunately, he's going to have to come in and repair that. And based on the meatballs seen already in this race and in previous races as well, that's going to take a very long time indeed to repair. Josh Hines is back in this race, for example, and just completing his first lap of the race, so clearly had some sort of issue getting going here tonight. Matt Horn and Scott Watts are also having long repairs, along with Ryan Borg now, who is down there on pit lane. So yeah, it's a busy start, and there are a few. Oh, Borg is already coming on his way back out again, so not too much damage at all, but it has delayed him fairly significantly here.
Yeah, look, there is a fast repair up the sleeve if memory serves, but look, it's one of those things with these cars. As we said, the damage model on these is far less forgiving than a lot of the others, and you really do want to pick your moment to use that fast repair and make sure it's worth it, for lack of a better way of putting it. Yeah, it's a good question from Matt Morgan. Is race 3 going to be in street sweepers? I get the feeling that there's going to be enough gravel there that we might need to clean it up between races, because everything getting dragged on in race 1, plenty more here in race 2 as well. I
mean, in the middle of the race, probably the idea to come and sweep.
Yeah, can we just get the safety
really?
car to come out and do a quick lap and just get it cleaned up?
Yeah, I think it could be necessary, because that's it's everywhere. I mean, towards the end of the last race, it really was absolutely everywhere. But there you go. That's obviously not the case. The driver's just got to deal with it. Here comes Brett Loxton down the inside. Meantime, you might be wondering, by the way, who is the best of the top 10 of the previous race to be coming through the field here in this one. Well, I guess you'd probably say Dan Stevens, but although he finished in 10th place, wasn't one of the top contenders in that front group. Muller was, though, Ryan Muller, and he's already back into the top 5 again. 22 places gained in just 6 laps, which is pretty remarkable in this field. The race leaders and winners from the previous race, Miguel Texera all the way down in 19th position still. Phil Manuel still down in 14th place. Mark Poynton is in 11th as things stand. Aaron Gilbert, the race 1 winner, in 9th place. So they're all spread through the field here after the very busy opening laps, and might just start to settle down a little bit now as the top guys sort of return to the front and return to the battles that they were having beforehand.
Settle down, you reckon, Hewitt? Have you seen these guys racing yet tonight? They're already 2 and 3 wide into turn 1. We didn't see that until a long way into race 1. I think everyone's gotten just a little bit of confidence after race 1 that they know the quality of drivers they're around, and they're prepared to start to push on just a little bit harder, and we're definitely seeing the results of that already. The battle pack from here, Cooper Cottrell back to Wayne Taylor in 11th. Nobody separated by more than about 6 or 8 tenths, with plenty of very close battles in amongst it. Then there was a second gap there for a moment to Mark Point. That's closed right up. We've got this whole middle group all just bunched right up in there. The only one who's really made the best of it has been Ben Smith. He's out in front by 5 seconds and probably very, very comfortable with the clean air after seeing what's happened behind him so far.
And Stevens in second place has got a big gap behind him as well here to Muller, who's having difficulty staying connected at this moment in time. But if it is Cottrell who's leading the charge, then it's for another 4.5 seconds back to third. So that is going to prevent the other guys who are coming through here from really getting forward. Yeah, Ryan Muller's really having trouble staying connected at the moment, which is a shame to see. He was one of the top guys making his way through the field best in this race so far until that problem.
I've just seen him come up with a meatball flag on my telemetry here, but I'm wondering if it might be one of the first times I've seen the iRacing connection, the ping flag actually flowing for somebody. It's been a bit of a rare thing in league racing, but given how much was flickering around there, it might be the first time that's actually come out.
Yeah, it might be. It's a real shame though for him dropping all the way down as a result. And look at this coming over the line. We're a quarter of the way through race number 2. No safety car so far, despite the reverse grid. We've managed to go much further into this race than we did into the last, as down towards turn 1 they go. That's very wide from Craig Bell. Oh, he spins and he gets straight into Mark Poynton, who'd made his way through the field nicely as well. That is going to be a very damaged car for Bell, and you wonder whether he's going to be able to get back going from there and whether we're going to see a safety car. Poynton's going to get back going, but he's got a meatball flag now, and Bell certainly does well. Yeah, that car's not going anywhere. We might well get a safety car now. We went much further into this race than we did into the last, but Poynton has to tow back to pit lane. You'd imagine Bell will have to. Duddle's also got a meatball flag as well.
Well, it doesn't take much, does it? Just one foot wrong onto the grass. And,
safety car.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, safety car called. And look at the stream on in. So I guess that answers the question around whether a safety car, whether a pit stop's going to be needed to make it home here tonight. I suspect everyone expected to have to come into the pits at some point, and what better opportunity than right now to come in and do that. Ben Smith and Dan Stevens, you would have to think, oh, big moment there for the number 26 of Josh Hines, who's a long way back in the field, all the way back in, what is he now, 27th, but Ben Smith surely will come in now, and we'll see those few drivers out in front get their stop done. Hopefully they can make it back out before the group that managed to sneak on in immediately on the call make their way around again.
Yeah, Nathan Allen hasn't actually left the pit lane yet, so everybody will be driving at full speed as of right now. It's sort of old V8's rules, if you like, on safety cars, and so they should be going as quickly as they possibly can. We'll run through the order when it all settles here, but let's see whether Benjamin Smith can actually get out in front first of all, as his stop goes over 11 seconds, over 12. Well, it's a little bit on the long side, but he's ahead of Dan Stevens at least. So of those in the pit lane, he's out first. Now, can he get to the end of pit lane before James Clark gets there? As Nathan Allen makes his way out onto the racetrack, he's going to pick up the leader, and it will be Smith who is going to be in the lead, but he'll be disappointed this safety car came out at all, I think, because he had a very large lead beforehand. It's all been wiped away with this safety car.
And have a look at this. Bill Manuel still coming out of the pits. He's going to lose a couple of spots to Clark, Alessi and Gilbert, who will manage to sneak through and pick up those spots behind the safety car. So really just unfortunate timing for Manuel as well. But as it stands, Smith holds on to that lead, and now he's got a bit of a task ahead of him to try and rebuild it. We might,
I'm sure
we
he's
might
going to be able to, really.
Oh, well, no. We might take this moment to go all the way back to lap 1 and have a look at that first big incident, and see if we can see what it was that set it off. Keep going, Colin Bruns here. Bit of a tap there. So it wasn't Bruns, but I think it might have actually been Watts further back. Who gets off the air. Watch the Repco car onto the grass, can't pull it up, slides across, bang, big hit, and then Loxton nowhere to go either. Really unlucky, just under brakes onto the grass.
I'm amazed that wasn't a safety car, to be honest with you. Quite amazed that we got away with that, really, because that was a very large bit of contact, and I think there were some guys who had to come in pit lane at that point and do some repairs as well. Maybe maybe had to tow or whatever, but that would have been a second early safety car in 2 races, so maybe race control didn't want to, but maybe everybody got clear. I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, there's certainly a lot of drivers who are making log stops now. There's only 22 on the lead lap, so we've had 8 with trouble. Lucky Delphin unfortunately didn't actually start this race, and Josh Hines got underway late, but the rest of them all in for damage repairs. David Duddo just coming out of the pit lane right now, but he's over 2 laps down, so they're coming out just for points as things stand. The rest of them, though, fighting for victories, and with the exception of Benjamin Smith, everybody else coming up from behind here inside the top 8 or so, 8 or 9, have all come through quite a few cars and will be on paper a little bit quicker than Smith, so you've got the feeling that the guys who were competing for the race 1 win, competing for the race 2 win as well, are quite high now because of the way this safety car has transpired.
This one was the reason for that safety car. Craig Bell just getting out to the left onto the grass, and that car going absolutely nowhere, needing to be towed. So look, I think that's probably about the only difference really between the 2 incidents, is that opening lap incident, we were just very, very lucky that there was a huge amount of runoff and not enough damage sustained by any of those cars to render them immobile. They managed to get going again reasonably comfortably, even though they did lose about 20 odd positions in the process.
Yeah, indeed, we've got the safety car out at the moment. There's some people still rejoining and catching up to the train here before we get back at green again. Looks like there'll be 22 laps to go when we do get back green again. Unfortunately, Ryan Muller definitely out of this race as things stand with that connection trouble. So one of the only ones, unfortunately for him, to be, and there we go. So we're letting lap carts through here, which is part of the reason for an extended safety car at the moment. Not only so that they can get their lap back, so that they can get out of the way of the lead lap guys who will fight over the race win themselves here. And so maybe it'll be the end of this lap where we go back green again, but looking to filter out the field here a little bit by getting removed of getting rid of those cars already lapped down here. But that hasn't put anybody back onto the lead lap, by the way. It's just we've still got just 22.
Which honestly, given some of the carnage we've seen tonight, it's actually kind of impressive. We've still got 22 on the lead lap. Plenty of drivers in getting repairs. Craig Bell's been sitting in the pits for, well, almost 4 minutes now. And unfortunately for Mark Point, at 6 minutes, I don't know that he's going to be getting back out in a hurry either. Josh Hines suffered some damage along the way as well. He's been in there for 4 minutes so far. I'm not holding a lot of hope for those guys.
No. I mean, Smith, who's leading this race at the moment, spent the whole race in the pit lane, race number 1, repairing that car. So we could well see that, unfortunately, for some of those down on the pit lane at the moment. But here we go into the final double right-hander for Benjamin Smith, who is going to lead the field to green here. 22 laps to go. After those lap cars have been waved through and they get to the back of the train, we're ready to go again here with everybody in one long line. Smith has led this race right from the very beginning here. Led all of the 14 laps so far. How many more can he lead on the way into the end here? As, oh dear, there's going to be a concertina effect down the back end there as Smith waits a little bit longer out of the final turn. Some were expecting him just to go out of the final turn in the conventional manner, but he decides to wait a little bit longer, and it's probably paid off quite well for him here as he comes towards turn number 1. That was a nice start from him as they pair down towards turn number 1. Here's Stevens, Cottrell, Clark, Alessi all inside the top 5, trailing him at the moment in this single file restart.
When you have a look at the moves that have been made through this field, it's on your screen now for you folks. Ben Smith, one of the few drivers who hasn't lost positions towards the back, and really does show just how competitive he might have been in that opening race had it not been for that damage. He's managed to hold up the front of this one from the very start. He's joined up there by drivers that have come through from the back of the pack with the reverse grid. Dan Stevens up 19, Cooper Cottrell up 11, as is James Clark. Aaron Gilbert up 27 positions to get to 5th so far as Dan Stevens gets past Ben Smith. Smith had an awful exit out of that final turn. Stevens is absolutely walking away at the moment. Smith's going to be under some pressure from Cottrell in just a second.
He had a slow down to serve there, did Smith, and so he had no choice but to let Dan Stevens through. But Stevens started in 21st position, a long way down in this field, and so might well be quicker than Smith, but we didn't really get much chance to see Smith's pace, to be fair, in the previous race. That's very wide from Henry King, who instead of rejoining uses the gravel there, and he's going to get a slow down for that might be fairly severe. Here comes Mahoney in the rest of the top 10 as well, as they all filter their way through. A little bit of side-by-side there as well for Taylor. Wayne Taylor getting past Bray Loveridge. Oh, here comes Loveridge again, looking to the inside. Can't do it, and that's very deep from Wayne Taylor. It would have been too deep for the Grand Prix layout, never mind this one. And he's gone wide now, and here comes Michael Hammond as well. So place is being gained here all the time on this safety car restart as we approach half distance in race 2.
Manuel looking up the inside to turn 1. He's going to make a pass. Costa Texera relatively comfortably. Miguel staying very wide on that entry. Emmanuel back on the inside. It's amazing the difference in exit speed from that wider entry into turn 1 here at Mugello. It really does allow a couple of different lines. A big slide on the way out from Costa Texera. Manages to keep it under control, and it stays on the tail of Manuel in the hunt for the top end of the top 10.
Slow down again for Smith, so the battle for second is going to really alter up because of that. But this field is basically one long line right from that second position now anyway, with Stevens getting himself removed. I think he's going to go on and win this race, to be honest, the way that this is going at the moment. Smith with a bad exit out of the final corner, as he was still worried about serving that slowdown in time. So Cooper Cottrell is going to get through here, and here comes Aaron Gilbert as well. This has been a great and that was a slice through there from Smith just to make sure that Gilbert couldn't get past him, but he's still on the inside here. They're going to be 3 wide, and Aaron Gilbert's got to be careful there. He's going to back out of it insensibly as well, because they wouldn't have given him the room, that's for sure. On the inside then for Benjamin Smith, he is going to slip himself through into second position ahead of Cottrell, and then it will be Aaron Gilbert in 4th position, the race 1 winner. And there's Dina Letzi, who restarted in the top 5, spinning around.
It doesn't look like too much damage sustained, although hard to say with these cars. It's starting to wobble a little bit as he gets it back up and running. And sure enough, there's the meatball, so unless he'll be off to the pits to have that repaired, does not bode well for making it back in time for the latter half of this race. Still half the way to go, but if there's a meatball there, hopefully it's not a lot of damage that needs to be repaired.
Well, any meatball, I'm afraid, is going to send him way down outside the top 20, which is going to be minimal points from this opening round of the season for being back there, because, as I mentioned before, the grid for race 2, race 3 rather, is set by the results of race 2. That's not ideal. 3 wide, meantime, in towards turn 2, and only brief. It's these guys that wouldn't have been the best idea. Charlie Hines it was, backing out of that, and now he's going to try and come through on Matthew Mellor, and will do on the way towards turn 4. I mean, this is just so busy, and there's just so much happening every single lap here. It's hard to know how to talk about it, because it's just happening every single lap, just side by side all the way through the field. And here again, Aaron Gilbert trying to get back past Cooper Cottrell. Oh, and side-to-side contact there for the race 1 winner. He gets down the inside though and back into the podium places.
Yeah, these guys are absolutely not paying much attention to just how easily these cars are damaged. It's not holding them back at all tonight. I don't think I've seen so many 3 wide corners in any other racing format. Maybe Formula Fords, maybe. That's only because they're so small they can do it pretty easily. But you get these big tin tops to put them 3 wide through any turn, and to do it so many times over in this race, I don't know what to make of it from these guys tonight.
It is just incredibly busy in this first race of the day. The second race of the day, first round of the season, I should say, here at Mugello in the short layout. It's a reverse grid race, race 2, the longest race of the night. It's the one that required a pit stop from these guys in terms of the fuel that they had, but that was all covered under a safety car earlier on in the day. Here comes Phil Manuel down the inside of James Clark, looking to try and get up to Gilbert, who is already looking like a big championship contender here, and Manuel is looking like a big challenger, and he's looking for a top 5 position here, but again, efficiency in overtaking is such an important part of this, and that's what we saw very early on from Ryan Muller, unfortunately, until he disconnected and out of this race down in 29th.
Yeah, hopefully he makes it back for the third one. I'm not sure what the issue has been on his end, but if he is floating around in the YouTube chat, say hi, Ryan. Let us know what happened. Hopefully, though, you're getting ready to jump back in for race number 3. Carving the inside of that corner. Brett Loxton's done that a few times tonight. More than happy to let those outside tyres take the brunt of the effort through that final turn. It's a brave thing, isn't it? We've spoken a number of times about how much those left-hand tyres are going to get absolutely hammered around this circuit Mugello tonight. Loxton just throwing caution to the wind over and over again and leaning on them more and more and more every time he goes around. Feeling pretty confident in the balance of the car at the moment, you'd have to think.
Yeah, certainly is. And of course, always the rear is a talking point here as well in the V8s. Just managing those rear tyres over the course of the race, but I'd imagine they would have changed the tyres during the pit stop, so it would be less of a problem than otherwise. As we ride with Mugello Costa Texera, that will be an easy pass on James Clark, although it's not close to, or not without contact, I should say, over the line, and he'll get to 6th place. So another one of the top guys from before getting back, but here comes Clark again on the left-hand side. Mahoney closing in as well, but yeah, he's not going to be able to get through. Well, Mugello Costa Texera up into 6th place, and that's now 3 names really of the real big contenders from that first race who are now towards the front in the second race as well.
It's been an impressive recovery for a lot of these drivers. Being up 20 plus positions in any racing format is phenomenal. Aaron Gilbert up 29 to be in 3rd. It's yeah, look, they've done the work to get back up to the front end of the field, and it's set them up well for this 3rd race. It's where they need to be, though, isn't it? You don't want to be trying to fight through from even the mid-pack in that 3rd race. If you're finishing up in the front end of that first race, you still want the points that are on offer, and particularly with this being the longer race here tonight in race 2. I imagine, I must be honest, I didn't go digging around in the point system for tonight, but you'd have to think there's a few more points on offer for this one as well, as Costa Texera really pushing hard here.
It is just the same point system for all 3 races tonight over the course of this season. 150 points for a win, and in fact in a 3-race round there are more points available than at the others. 450 points maximum, although I'd be surprised if we get anybody winning all 3 races in one night, but you never know, I suppose. And Smith and Stevens are battling side by side here. Smith back in front of Stevens again, and then Gilbert, who might be able to take his 2nd win already, maybe proved me wrong already, but anyway, yeah, 450 points in the maximum. 400 points in a 2-race round. That there's only 3 of those: Kota, Detroit and Adelaide, and the Bathurst 500 will have 300 points available for a win. So but obviously that's 1 race in the evening, so yeah, it does change night on night, but not within the night, as it were. Side by side meantime for 4th place, Cottrell up to 4th ahead of Costa Texera and Phil Manuel, who are side by side again, and Mugello Costa Texera manages to get himself through here. Now these guys might be consigning themselves to a 4th place at best, but nevertheless this is a great recovery from Mugello Costa Texera, who didn't initially get off to a brilliant start in race 2.
Great to see Ben Smith get back through again as well. I just have to go back and take a look at how he's made that move happen, and it looks like it was all under brakes through that final turn. Just gets the car turning, big lock up there from Dan Stevens, and just opens the door. Smith doesn't hesitate, dives on through and takes the lead of the race back, and he'll try and hold on to that. As we say that, an immediate reversal. Dan Stevens goes straight back through on Ben Smith, and now Aaron Gilbert's in amongst it, so the top 3 all right in there. A bit more smoke off the tyres, they're starting to feel it. I wonder if the lap 11 pit stop under safety car was maybe just a little bit earlier than these guys would have liked.
Well, maybe a bit earlier than they would have liked, but it still means this stint to the end is shorter than the previous race, which they did set tyres on, as Cottrell's got a penalty, so he's just staying out of everybody's way here and making sure he gets back to the pit lane without and maybe he's got a meatball as he as well. Maybe that's the reason. He does have a penalty. He had a black flag next to his name, and he does have a meatball now as well. So a story to tell there for Cottrell. Oh no! Somebody going for a switchback move has just put him straight in the wall.
We've seen that move come off a couple of times tonight with very, very last moment dives across the back end of the car in front. Unfortunately misjudging that by just a couple of mil, and it was enough to put Cottrell hard over and nothing he could do, an absolute passenger at that point. Ben Smith opens up a bit of a gap again as he gets back in front of Dan Stevens, and now Stevens will have to defend from Gilbert. Smith will want these guys to battle it out for as long as the rest of this race takes as he tries to extend and pick up a win here. But the three of them, 5.5 seconds up the road from that group, battling it out for fourth. You'd find it difficult to believe in the absence of a collision here that we're going to see any change to the podium outside of these three.
I think so. I think we're looking at our podium sitters for race 2 here tonight. I think Gilbert very close to Stevens. I think Gilbert is being wary here of a fight with Stevens that could allow Smith to get away, but now he's being decisive. Down the inside, searching for the apex, and he gets it. So he got up to second, and now he can begin to work on Smith. But don't forget, despite the fact Smith starting this race from pole, he did have issues in race 1, which meant he was on the pole here, and therefore it also means that he's a bit quicker than maybe a normal driver who finishes last in a race would be. So don't think this is going to be an easy pass for Gilbert. He does have 8 laps to do it, but 8 laps are going to be rattled off very, very quickly at this circuit.
Yeah, it's not often we get to say that the lap time is under a minute, but it has been consistently here tonight. In fact, 55 seconds, the best lap out there this evening. It's a quick little circuit, Mugello short, and it has delivered far more than it probably was expected to tonight. But this is what it's all about. Supercar racing delivers just about everywhere you go. Cooper Cottrell checking into the chat. Unfortunately, now out for the night. After that last incident, so won't be returning for race 3 by the sound of things. That's a real shame.
That is a shame. Hopefully it means just out for this race, and he'll be back for race 3. But you know, it's the thing with having issues in race 2, isn't it? When you have it in race 1, like Smith here, you've got a chance to come back because there's a reverse grid race on a 3-race night, of which there are 5, by the way. This is the first of 5. But when you have issues in race 2, there's no reverse grid ahead of race 3. It is just, you know, where you finish this one, it will be where you start for the next. And so if you have issues here, then you're going to get a bad score from this one, and it's going to be very difficult to get a much better score in race 3 as well. So this is the most deflating race to have issues like that, certainly, and a shame the way it's happened for Cottrell there, because it wasn't any fault of his own down towards turn 1, absolutely not, and that has put him out of this race. Meantime, Gilbert fires down the inside of Benjamin Smith for the lead, here in towards turn number 1, and he's still alongside there, Smith, so he's not giving up yet. Bit of a lock up into turn 2. Now there's a squeeze, and there's a bit of contact. He's just going to back out of that. Is Gilbert not to serve Smith completely into the barriers, but there's going to be more contact here. Smith very nearly turning Gilbert and returning the favour there, but Aaron Gilbert now leads this race. Can he do the double here and win in race 2 as well? He's going to be made a lot easier by Smith's slow down penalty, and so Gilbert might now be in the clear.
Yeah, I think that slowdown was all it took to take Smith out of this one. Just having to serve far too much time. And look, maybe could have tried to stretch it out a little bit further, but ultimately, once you get onto this main straight, you just lose so much time in serving it that I don't know he would have been able to stay with him. The question now really is Dan Stevens. Does he have the pace to try and catch Gilbert in a matter of just 5 very, very short laps here? The gap is not insignificant. Aaron Gilbert's moved up 31 positions since the start. Look, that does take into account, of course, our 2 race control drivers being counted as P1 and P2, so it's a couple less than that. But regardless, a massive, massive drive for Gilbert, and really does set him up for potentially a triple win here tonight.
He's set up to do that now, as he leads the field around in race number 2. This is one of his big rivals from that previous race, Phil Manuel, on the back of a group with Gavin Cox and Henry King. Here is Smith trying to get back past Stevens, but to actually re-catch Gilbert and pass him in the next 5 laps feels very, very unlikely. But a good recovery for Smith. he will get down the inside there and he'll get to third place. As I say, he's recovering decently.
Yeah, Ben Smith getting back through there is pretty impressive, honestly. It looked like it was going to be a long way off the back, but the slowdown not maybe having quite as much impact as it looked. Big lock-up. These tyres are absolutely shredded by this point in the race, but it's not slowing him down. Smith is doing everything he can. A second and a half in 5 laps, big ask, especially with such a short lap. But not necessarily impossible. But look at that, already a couple of extra tenths as Gilbert just continues to punish every little mistake coming in behind him. It'll be Smith and Stevens second and third. It's just a question of which order. And I don't know that Dan Stevens has got anything left in the tank.
No, I think the podium's set now, as long as Smith doesn't make another mistake and a slowdown like he has done on a number of occasions so far in this race, to be honest. Counted him out before in this race. He's returned back to the lead, so you never know. But this time he is against Darren Gilbert at the very front. So that's Hammond down the inside of Loxton for a top 10 place. This would have been for a podium place in the previous race. But Michael Hammond makes his way through into 10th on this occasion. And problem is it for these guys as well. They were fighting up around Gilbert and would have scored decently from race number 1, but they've not been able to make the progress quite as efficiently as necessary in race 2, and they're going to lose out in points here. We're obviously talking very early on in the season, but looks like Gilbert's going to have a big step ahead of the rest after just the opening round, based on what we're seeing at the moment.
And it's the best start you can hope for as a driver, isn't it? Get out in front and do so commandingly in round 1, and the psychological advantage that gives you for the rest of the season is massive while everyone tries to chase you down. It just gives that bit of breathing room you might not otherwise have. A little bit of a nudge there from Loxton on Hammond as they come down towards turn 1. Hammond maintains the inside line. Loxton's looking to go around the outside. He'll look for the exit speed here. They both go up the inside. I think that was Craig Bell they've just gone past. Big movement from Loxton. He's throwing that car all over the track to try and pick up P10 here if he can make it.
Can he get that place back again off of Hammond here? These two fighting once again for the second race in a row. Although there was plenty more people around them when they were fighting in the previous race, I think it's fair to say. 2 laps to go meantime. And here is one of Smith's teammates, Phil Manuel, who is just in front of Gavin Cox still. Out through the final turn for them. 2 laps to go here. Not long left now at all in race number 2, the longest race of the night, 80k's around here. The full reverse grid race, but it looks like the same race winner on his way to the top step again.
Another question for me is just how much is he planning to win it by in race 3 when he gets to start from the front to make it through, we say 29 positions I think is the corrected count here in race 2, fighting from the back all the way to the front of this field again. I mean, that doesn't come because of a slow average lap time, that's for sure. So we'll have to wait and see just what Gilbert does deliver in race 2. But Ben Smith and Dan Stevens, I mean, they'll be right there amongst it. They've certainly taken the fight to him plenty of times here tonight. It will be about longevity, though, and what they can squeeze out of the tyres. And I think that's the difference we're seeing is just better tyre management. And it's not much different, but at this stage of the race, this critical closing 3 or 4 laps in particular, Gilbert's just got so much more left in them than Smith or Stevens do.
Looks like it as the white flag waves. Just 1 lap to go now as the fight for 12th place goes on. Bruns. Oh, 3 wide, look at that! Steaming through the middle there. That's quite a move from Matthew Day. He's had issues earlier in this race. He had a pit stop much earlier on. I think actually started from the pit lane, I should say. He's moving through to 13th now on this last lap with a through the middle, 3 wide move in towards turn number 1. Meantime, Aaron Gilbert is going to come through and take this race victory for the 2nd time tonight in the Legacy Australian Racing Championship. It's race 2 going to him, and for 2nd, contact over the line, but Smith just about gets there in front of Stevens.
200th of a second, not a lot in it. There was just a nice little nudge of doors there across the line as well. Brett Loxton only just behind Michael Hammond, so plenty of close finishes throughout the rest of the field. Bruns only a quarter of a second behind by the look of things as well. John Holton, how's this front fortunate? just before the pit entry has got the meatball, and
Before the end of the race.
yeah, unfortunately, won't finish. What's happened here is he popped the motor. Well, that'll do it, and cannot even roll it across the line.
Well, that does explain a lot. That's a real shame for him. But anyway, we'll be credited with a lead lap finish, or bottom end of the lead lap finish, which is better than nothing, I suppose, at the end here. Aaron Gilbert takes the victory here, though, in race 2 in front of Benjamin Smith and Dan Stevens, who fought and bashed and crashed their way over the line. Miguel Costa was at the head of the next group in front of Joe Mahoney, Henry King. Then Phil Manuel and Gavin Cox were then next in line, battling for 7th place there. Matt James Clark on his own there finishes 9th in front of Brett Loxton, who ends up in 10th place. Conor Bruns 11th, ahead of Matthew Day, who just seeds off Stephen Banks, Bray Loveridge in that group. And then next for Ryan Borg, who rounded out the top 15. Matthew Mello was on the lead lap, so was Charlie Hines, Michael Hammond in the end. John Holton, I've got to say, credited with the bottom end of the lead lap, or top end of one lap down. Wayne Taylor rounding out the top 20. 21st for Dina Lessie, who was 2 laps down the end alongside David Duddle. Scott Watts 4 down, Matt Hall 5 down, Josh Hines 10 down after getting off to, didn't start initially. Cooper Cottrell finishing trade 6th in the end of Craig Bell, Mark Poynton, Ryan Mullett and Lucky Delphin. Not sure the last 5 or 6 of those even finished the race, but hopefully they'll get out for race number 3, which does have a bit of a warm-up session preceding it, so we'll be able to just talk about race 2 a little bit, and we'll speak about Aaron Gilbert's chances of doing the triple here and winning all 3 races tonight. I mean, seems almost impossible when you look at the format and you see a full inverse grid and you see 30 drivers in the field, although 29 in the end who actually raced race 2. But we very much could be seeing a 1-2-3 in the very first round of the season. That would be remarkable.
Yeah, and it'd be a hard one to repeat, I imagine. But look, he's setting himself up really, really well for it. So Aaron Gilbert in prime position to take it. There's a couple of competitors out there that would love to steal it away from him, but already the wins in race 1 and 2 set him up so well for a points lead after round 1 that I don't think he'll mind terribly if he can't pull off the triple. But geez, when you're this close to it, you're going to throw everything at it in race 3 here tonight. Something we didn't really spend a lot of time talking about at the start of race 2, Ewan. The very quick gridding time really did catch out quite a few drivers right up and down the field. And I wonder how much of an impact that had on opening up the midfield to allow the progress of some of those faster drivers through there. It wasn't a huge number, right? It was probably about 5 or 6 drivers that found themselves short of gridding time and ending up starting from the pits, but I do wonder how that might have impacted on some of their races.
Yeah, I wonder whether for next week they might extend gridding by another minute just to allow everybody to get in, because I do think it caught a couple of people off guard there who would have otherwise started on the grid where they were, but started from the pit lane instead. Although, having said that, I mean, Lucky Dolphin, for example, hasn't even raced. It didn't even get out again after that anyway, so maybe some of those down the back end of the field were not starting for other reasons. But race 3 is going to have a grid set by the race 2 results there, and it is going to give Gilbert a great chance to do the triple, but there's so many other contenders around here. Looking forward to seeing whether Benjamin Swift can challenge again here in race number 3, because actually he had a difficult first race, of course, but held on to the race lead for ages in the opening laps of race number 2 there. Who's to say he won't be able to challenge here at the start of race 3 as well? And such is the way with these standing starts and the way you have to walk these cars off the line, anything can happen off the start here.
Well, not to mention, of course, there's always the risk of a car getting onto the grass and ploughing through 5 or 6 in front of it as well in the opening lap. We saw it there in race 2. I think it was just luck more than anything that meant there was only really 2 other cars involved, but it could have quite easily been 6 or 7 cars taken out within the first few turns. I wonder if we're going to see a little bit of a change in tactic here for race number 3 from some of the drivers, just looking to make it a little bit more survival. But But when you think about the way that this grid's going to be set up, we're going to have the fastest drivers out in front from the get-go. It's a shorter final race than what we've just been through, that 36 laps. It'll be 27 laps, 60 Ks left in tonight's racing. I expect it's actually going to heat up even more, and I reckon we might... There's been some impressive moments so far, Ewan. There's been some impressive collisions and some damage done, but race 3, I'm tipping that there might be just some extra fireworks still to come.
Yeah, that certainly will be in the final race of the day, as the warm-up session, the 5 minutes, draw to a close, and we'll very soon be underway for the final race of the day. 27 laps again, back to 27, so 60 Ks for race 3. By the way, the next time we see this format will be at Oran Park for round 3 on the 10th of July. The next round of this championship, though, is in 3 weeks' time at Phillip Island. That will be a 2-race day, but it'll be Aaron Gilbert who starts from the front for this feature race, this final race, in front of Matthew Date. Sorry, not Matthew Date, just let it scroll through. Benjamin Swift for his second place. Stan Stevens, Miguel Costa-Texeira will have a decent chance from 4th. Phil Manuel stopped from 7th, for example. Brett Loxton from 10th. And the rest of them down the field. We'll see whether Ryan Muller can get on the grid from 29th, but as he has a big job to do from all the way down there, as does Lucky Delphin if he gets onto the grid. Cooper Cottrell, unfortunately, does look like he was out for the night, sadly, because he is not gridding up yet either. Just waiting for Benjamin Smith on the front row here, as it's pretty dark for this final race of the day, waiting to get underway.
Yeah, we might see a nice little finish under lights here, which I always love. Honestly, this is my favourite time of day to go racing. May not be so much fun for the drivers as they have to deal with the sun in their eyes, but it looks fantastic, and I'm glad you're all here to watch it. We are about to go green. Race 3 gets underway as the exhausts shoot flame and launch it off the line, and Aaron Gilbert gets out to an early lead as the pack heads on down towards turn 1 for the first time.
Well, he didn't have Smith alongside him, so he starts from the pit lane, or not at all, along with 3 others. So 26 bearing their way down towards turn number 1 here in the evening time here at Mugello. Colder temperatures, pretty dark out there as well, a little bit gloomy to try and see where they're going. But Gilbert holds on to the lead nicely in front of Dan Stevens, who has made a good start, and Phil Manuel's made the best start, you'd say, out of the front guys, up to 3rd place, even past Miguel Costa-Texeira, who's trying to join them from 4th place there as well.
Already a bit of a gap opening up. James Clark just struggling to get it up to speed. Brett Loxton's all over his tail. We've had an incident somewhere in the background as John Holton goes off and around, and looks as though Josh Hines has been caught up in that one as well. So neither of those guys having a great night here tonight. Miguel Costa-Texeira, the back of that front group. James Clark has all sorts of pressure on him now as Brett Loxton gets up alongside of the way down towards turn 1. And already we're seeing a little bit of side to side. You can see a little damage on the front end there of James Clark's car. There's obviously been some contact already. Loxton runs very, very wide. I tell you what, it's just beginning here, Ewan.
Well, it absolutely is. And it's going to feel very similar, I think, to race number 1, this one. You know, not quite the all-out chaos of a reverse grid race, but not too far away from that. So we'll be side by side for 10th place here, and in this group for 10th place, Gavin Cox and Stephen Banks here, side to side, and they just about avoid contact. Gavin Cox getting into that top 10 then in this group. It's allowing the front guys to get away though, and there's a break even in the top 9 as well. So yeah, certainly more groups starting to form earlier in this race than there were in previous ones, as that's a slow James Clark coming out of the final corner.
Up the front, Aaron Gilbert has not opened up the gaps that he probably would have liked to. Dan Stevens right there, just getting the nose in alongside the rear quarter. Now side by side as they come up the hill. Phil Manuel right in amongst it as well, and Costa-Texeira just barely hanging on, skin of his teeth stuff back there. But this battle is helping the 3rd and 4th place drivers to stay with it. They're side by side now as well. So this is absolutely no holds barred. Lap 3 of 27, nobody waiting around. Aaron Gilbert gets his nose out in front. Texeira runs very, very wide as Phil Manuel stays on track and picks up a little bit of an advantage. It's really just such back and forth racing when these battles start to open up. Manuel needs to get the foot down and not lose touch with the front 2 now. Dan Stevens, in turn, cannot afford to let Gilbert get away.
No, they absolutely can't. If he gets away, gets a second or so, then that will be it for the race, you would imagine, in this final one of the day. A few people running wide in the background there. You can see the grass marks through the final turn. There's a couple of other drivers coming in and retiring indeed early on in this race. The non-starters up to 4 for race number 3 tonight, sadly. This is Josh Hines, who's had trouble and pulls off to the side on the opening, on the pit straight, sorry, and retired from this race as well by the looks of things. And Craig Bell has also been in pit lane for more than 2 minutes now. So yeah, some retirement starting to come in late on. You can't forget that, you know, while this is a 3-race day, it's quite a long day, isn't it? Quite a long evening, and at 200 kilometres of racing overall, even though it's split into 3 races, it's quite a tiring prospect for everybody.
Yeah, and look, I think the brief respite you get around here, Mugello, is this front straight. It's not particularly long either, though. You know, and we certainly haven't seen many of the drivers get an opportunity to just use it as a bit of a break. Because it's been side-to-side battles the whole way up the straight for just about everyone, every single lap. And so around this short circuit, it is constantly fighting not just drivers around you, but the car itself. For 250 Ks, it's giving these guys a real workout. If you're watching this at home and you haven't tried for lack of a better way of putting it, a proper sim rig with a decent force feedback wheel on it, trust me when I tell you that these guys are going to be feeling very, very sore tomorrow morning.
Certainly will be.
Oh, that's a huge slide.
That was a big slide for Ryan Borg coming out of the final corner, just in front of Joe Mahoney. And that will close that gap a little bit, but not so much as to bring about an overtake, I don't think. So we're down towards turn number 1. Well, Mahoney looks down the inside, but I think Borg will be able to cover that off, and indeed does, although not without another lockup coming down in towards turn number 1. But it's a classic V8 supercar thing, that out of the final turn there, the slide that Borg had, but the control, the car control these guys have exhibited tonight has just been pretty outstanding across the board, really. When we've seen battles, it's been for the most part clean, and when we've seen slides like that, we've seen these guys able to just save it, like Ryan Borg there.
And this is a real feature of these older cars, these legacy supercars, that was immediately obvious when we did the Soldier on Charity event with this crew and a lot of the same drivers. The amount of slide that these cars allow for is just, look, it may not be as quick potentially as the Gen 3 supercars, but geez, it looks like a lot of fun. And every single one of these drivers, there's been a lot of chatter in the lead up to this season getting underway, talking about just how much fun these things are to drive compared to the newer ones.
Yeah, I've got to say I do prefer this era as well, just as a spectator. Although I did prefer the era of the Ford after this and this Holden. I think it was still a Falcon, was it? Ford Falcon still? Can't remember. But I did prefer the Ford after this and the versus the Holden here, and of course all the other manufacturers that there were as well. That's my era of supercars, if you like, that I enjoyed the most. But it does feel like it's a little bit different nowadays, doesn't it, with the racing that we see. Still fun to watch and so on, but this era does feel a little bit different. And I mean, it's been a while since I've seen and worked on a V8 supercar race like this. It's been very, very busy, and that's what these cars bring, just constant fighting here, and we're still seeing that continue long into the final race of the day as well.
I'm just looking at this and thinking ahead to, I mean, geez, there's so many classic Australian tracks on this calendar, but Bathurst is going to be something special. If it's anything like this, we have a field of 30 cars at Bathurst. It is going to be an absolute classic of a night. Oh, that's a huge slide from Bray Loveridge. How lucky was that to pull it up from the wall?
They'd be feeling fortunate. At the moment, there's not many occasions you can go off here and avoid getting too much damage. As we spoke about already, the meatballs are quite easy to pick up here as well, so it wouldn't have even taken very much at all as they follow this battle for 13th place. Here comes James Clark on Stephen Banks. Matthew Day just in there as well, down towards turn number 1. And stay as they are. More lockups here. Oh, massive lockup from Stephen Banks that time. His front tyres are not going to be thanking him for that one at all.
Only 9 laps in and we're already seeing that. I wonder if that's telling us something about just how much harder these drivers are pushing in this final race. We saw it a bit in the earlier races, but I don't know, is it just the time of day that it's getting lit up more and we're noticing it more? Maybe. But these guys pushing the tyres to the absolute limit as Stephen Banks gets a slowdown for trimming just a little bit too much off one of those corners. And he will start to fall back into the clutches of Matthew Day, who's looking for a way past as they come down the start of this front straight. Up the front though, Phil Manuel and Brett Loxton side by side again. It doesn't stop with V8 Supercar racing, and this is one of my favourite things about it.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. Oh, side-to-side contact. Manuel gets ahead of Loxton there. Oh, he could have shut the door there. I understand why he would have been cautious not to, because he would have got turned if he'd got that wrong, but he did have the space just to shut that door. As it is, he's let it ajar, and Loxton's going to try and beat it down again. And here he comes into turn 6, into the double right-hander coming up here at the end of the racetrack. He's going to fire down the inside here, down the hill, and slides his way in. Side-to-side contact. Here comes Miguel Costa Texeira as well, trying to regain this place, and he's going to try and be bumped by Manuel. Oh, that was really, really aggressive, and he only just survived that because he very easily could have got turned. Miguel Costa Texeira, though, backed out of it and gave him a bit of slack there, it looked like, as he comes to the outside now, does Manuel, and will try and run all the way around the outside again. He wasn't aggressive enough in shutting the door on Loxton there when he could have done. He was very aggressive on Texeira, who he shut the door on, and it very nearly was disastrous for him.
Just try and tell me that this is not real supercar racing. Honestly, I can't remember the last time I saw this kind of door-to-door paint trading. Oh, as we see more of it, Manuel and Costa Texeira just costing themselves time to Brett Loxton. Ryan Borg all of a sudden has materialised out of nowhere to join the back of this pack as well. He's made some decent progress through this race. He's up 9 spots since the start, and Miguel Costa Texeira gets past for Manuel. Ryan Borg closing the gap, looking to join his Proline Esports teammate here in this little fight. Not too much further back, Joe Marnie is in it as well.
This group's all the way down the field. It's not necessarily for the lead like we saw in the opening race of the day, where there was a huge leading group, but still plenty of groups inside the top 10 fighting away as we approach half distance in this final race of the day. 15 laps to go, less than 15 minutes in that case, and still lots to resolve. Stevens now has a slowdown. Now Gilbert a couple of laps ago had a slowdown, which brought Dan Stevens right into it here. But that might well seal the deal now for Aaron Gilbert, who might well take a 3-race win day out of this opening round at Mugello.
Craig Bell, big lock-up, big slide, and there's the wall. I think that'll be, unfortunately, Bell's day done as well. It's a war of attrition at this stage for a lot of these drivers, and you can see the number of drivers out of this race just increasing. The fast repairs have been used up. They know that at the halfway point of this one, they're not getting back in it if they do that sort of damage.
No, they're certainly not.
I don't think we've been through turn 2, 3 here without being able to see smoke in the background of that run down to turn 1 so far this race. Everyone just locking it up on the way into turn 1 through there tonight.
Yeah, you know, it's just one of those cars that's so easy to lock up on the brakes, and yeah, it's happening again and again. Meantime, there's Gavin Cox being shovelled back a little bit by Michael Hammond and Mark Poynton. These are top contenders from previous races here, and that's a big sight from Hammond, who's going to be under pressure here, as is Stevens from Brett Loxton, who heads down the inside. Loxton into second position and through, and nearly 3 wide in the background as well. Hammond is indeed overtaken by Mark Poynton, who gets himself into 8th position, and he'll stay there just in front of Hammond, and then Cox, and then King as well. Just endless fighting here at the halfway stage of this race, in the middle portion of this race.
It has been, though, notably a much more spread out affair for this third race with the lack of the reverse grid, and it really is telling us just how much extra chaos that caused in race 2. It wasn't the longer distance; it was those opening 10 laps or so where we saw so much happen as these fast drivers tried to make their way back to the front. It's a tricky one to balance, but it certainly does make them work for it. It's paying dividends here. Look at Phil Manuel defending hard the inside. Ryan Bork thinking about pushing just that little bit further up the inside. Stays committed. And I think Manuel probably just clenching and waiting for the contact that didn't end up coming. But geez, it was a bit close thing.
Manuel versus Borg for 5th position here. Oh wow, switches to the inside late on to Borg, and he makes contact with Phil Manuel, and Borg sent around in the spin as well. That's a mess between those two, and hopefully neither of them have got too bad of a damage from that, but it's going to drop them both through places, and it's going to drop them into groups as well. That was in a night of such great side-to-side racing, that was less so. A little bit of contact, sending them both around.
I blame Matty Morgan for that, honestly. Yeah. 4 minutes ago, there was going to be a crash soon. That's on you, Matty. Look, it had to happen. There's been so much hard-fought battling here across the night. You can pretty much predict a crash at just about any point here this evening. Just ever so slightly out of position. It's one of those few where I would almost be surprised to see any recourse from the stewards, because it almost corrected itself there a bit with Borg copying the tap again as Manuel slid through. That said, not ideal, but all's well that ends well for now. Manuel drops a couple of spots but finds himself in amongst this group with Gavin Cox and Henry King right on his tail, and another little lock up ahead from Michael Hammond. Runs a little bit wide. Phil Manuel's out to the grass, so he's going to lose at least one more spot here.
The start finish line here for these guys. Cox with his nose in front here, and he's going to try and see off to the right and the left here, but it's going to be very difficult for him to defend from that position. Despite having his nose in front, he's still feeling like he had to back out there. Manuel and King going either side of him. Manuel round the outside through turn 1, back into 8th position. So the limit for him probably now is 6th, but he's now got to catch up to Hammond and Poynton, another one of the top contenders from the opening race, who's now got themselves into the top 10 and fighting inside the top 10 here as well. Those are the next targets surely for Phil Manuel to catch.
This battle for third continuing. Dan Stevens and Miguel Costa Texera have been locked into it, not more than a couple of tenths separating them for about the past 10 laps. And Brett Loxton continues to extend his gap over these two. Aaron Gilbert out in front looking very, very comfortable, currently on track for a 1-2 team jinx shifters, which would be just what a way to cap off the night for Gilbert.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, close. Stevens around the outside, staying in 3rd. He was initially the closest challenger to Aaron Gilbert, but not any longer. Miguel Costa Texera going to look to even take his podium away. Late on the brakes down the inside at 4. He can't see him off though in time for 5. So he has to give a lot of room, and he actually ends up giving way too much room. He gets in the gravel. That was a very unusual moment for Texera. He just seemed to go way too wide there through turn 5 for no real reason, and he's going to have to do all that work again.
Yeah, I wonder if they're, again, just approaching the limits of what these tyres are up for. Side by side, through turn after turn, just building the temp in the tyres throughout every lap, and not a lot of respite at all around this very short circuit. It's a real balancing act the whole way around, and some drivers are doing it brilliantly, others struggling a little bit more. We've got a battle for 13th going on. Matt Day, Matt Hall and Stephen Banks almost thinking about 3 wide into turn 1. It still could be under brakes, and keep your eye on David Dardell looking to sneak into it in the background as well.
Yeah, looking to come into this. Side by side still for Manuel and King, who've been here before. Oh, lock up from Manuel. He's going to flash back to that contact he had with Borg there, which happened almost similarly. He goes wide now, though, into the gravel. There goes Gavin Cox. There goes Ryan Borg back through again. So they're back together, and Manuel back behind Ryan Borg again.
Now this is always interesting. Oh, that's very, very
Oh,
wide
no.
from Borg. Onto the grass, did a brilliant job to keep it under control. It's going to cost him pace down the straight. If he can tuck in behind Manuel, he might salvage something here. But I was wondering for a moment whether Manuel was thinking about big slide on the way in for Manuel as well. So it's almost like Manuel and Borg want to get back to the argy-bargy they had earlier and end up alongside each other again. They just seem to keep finding each other here tonight.
Yeah, they do. Slow down for King and Borg to serve here, and he's, Borg serving that in an unusual way. Off into the gravel and sliding around. Do it though, and King's trying to do it while not losing a place to Gavin Cox, which is going to be very hard. And so he gets through into 8th place now. King trying to slow down enough, and Phil Manuel's going to say thanks very much. He'll get down the inside as well and through on that yellow-coloured tarmac there, it looks like, on the sun setting towards the final turn. King wants that place straight back again here. And Phil Manuel is now going to be on the defensive in towards turn number 1 once again. These two have been side by side on many occasions before, and this time Manuel able to hold on to the position. Actually take quite a tight line in defending there, but no bother because he manages to get himself through. And nicely through as well. Here's a spin for James Clark, meantime, coming out of the final corner, and well avoided by those behind him.
Brilliant avoiding action, and very, very lucky for Clark not to get absolutely wiped out there or end up in the wall.
I was a bit lucky. 5 laps to go. Meantime, or 6 now actually, as Aaron Gilbert's already come across the line. He's leading by 2.5 seconds in front of Brett Lockstein, who is actually catching him, but he's going to run out of time in this race before he can get there. Here comes Stevens down the inside of Miguel Costa Texera, and that was very close in towards turn number 1, and they lean on each other. Darrell will still have the inside in time for turn 2, but round the outside, back to the inside for Stevens. He's back onto the podium again.
Well, for now, not the last time I think we're going to see these two trade positions. It's been happening all night, and I keep a close eye on it all the way to the end. There's a few other little battles going on, like that Dean Alessi a bit further back is caught up with Stephen Banks from Pacific Esports Racing. That's been happening for a while. Phil Manuel just can't seem to shake Ryan Borg, as they're current between them in the form of Colin Bruns at the moment, but you'd have to think that that's only a matter of time before they duke it out in the closing laps. Aaron Gilbert out in front though. Look at this, just calm, cool, collected all over this one tonight. 3 seconds the gap to his teammate Brett Loxton. A further 6 seconds back to Dan Stevens and Miguel Costa Texera, who've been battling so hard and just costing themselves time each and every single lap. It's almost a full second slower every lap for 3rd and 4th place over both Gilbert and Loxton. These guys just enjoying all of the time and all of the space they've got out here, and at this point it's an extended couple of victory laps for them. They can just hold it together from here. It's a nice easy 1-2 finish.
Looks like it. And at one stage it was looking a little bit threatening as Loxton was catching Gilbert, but not really any longer. Battle for 3rd is very much in a world of its own at the moment, with those front two getting away and the group behind still being distanced by these two. Miguel Costa Texera continually trying to get past Dan Stevens here, who won't give it up. On the inside, he breaks late, but not too late. And Costa Texera tries to tuck back underneath him there, but couldn't quite do it. And so has to settle for 4th place for now. Still, though, trying to work on this move. 3 laps to go at the line for him to make this happen. Neither of them going to give up this podium very easily.
Ewan, I've been so impressed with the amount of respect shown by all of the drivers tonight. There have been so many occasions where the overlap through these corners is barely a couple of inches of front quarter panel to rear quarter panel, but everyone making sure that they drive in a way that allows it to happen safely and continues being just really good hard racing without taking anyone out. It's really testament to just how dialed in these drivers are.
They certainly are. Again, these two side by side. Again, Miguel Costa Texera falls to the outside, and this time he does actually try and go round the outside, but he can't actually make it happen. Stevens manages to hold on to 3rd for now, and He's running out of laps here, is Teixeira, to actually make this move happen. Mahoney and Pointer not going to catch up, I don't think, and they're having a fight of their own, so they're definitely not going to catch up to complicate things further for third. But I mean, Stevens looking pretty comfortable when he's defending that position.
Yeah, he is at the moment, and Costa Teixeira, I don't know that he's quite got an answer, but at this point the best thing he can do is keep the pressure on and just look for the tiniest of slip-ups. Dan Stevens, though, to his credit, absolutely rock solid all through this race, and indeed all through tonight's round. Hasn't had perhaps quite the results that he deserves for just how consistent he's been. And there's the mistake, though. That could be all it takes. Very, very wide. Mugello Costa Teixeira goes through. Now it's going to be on. Dan Stevens has about a lap and a half to go. He's going to have to fight like the blazers to get back in front here. Costa Teixeira gets a bit of clean air ahead and starts to put the foot down. Really wants to cement this now.
Yeah, maybe that is the mistake that he was waiting for here. Maybe that is the mistake that's going to put Miguel Costa Teixeira onto the podium in this final race of the day. It's the third race of the Legacy Australian Racing Championship, because this is the opening round here from Mugello tonight. And remarkably, we've had the same race winner in all three races, all three with their different characteristics, of course. Race one with a huge leading group of 9 or 10 right from beginning to end of that first race of the day. Gilbert ending up seeing off all the others after qualifying on pole. He did have to fight his way back through again, past a number of others. He managed it in the end, though, and got into the lead to win. In the second race, there was a reverse grid race that he came through, and with the help of a safety car, of which there was one in race one as well, he managed to get through to the race lead and win there as well. This time from the pole, once again, he's going to win for a third time tonight. Here's Aaron Gilbert really laying his marker down in the Legacy Australian Racing Championship. It's 3 out of 3 at Mugello for Aaron Gilbert as he wins here once again. 2 seconds the gap this time over his teammate, and a great day for Team Jinx Shifters as well, as Miguel Costa Teixeira holds on to the final spot on the podium. It's the perfect day for Aaron Gilbert, who wins once again.
Brilliant drive from Gilbert right through. There's still plenty more battles to finish this one off. Colin Bruns and Ryan Borg at that final turn. There's a few still to be decided as we come out of that final corner, but no one with quite the pace to make a great deal of difference. James Clark will have one last shot at Charlie Hines here as he looks to send it up the inside. He's got just a bit of a nose alongside. I think he's going to get there. Clark squeezes Charlie Hines out, and he'll pick up one last spot at the death. In the background, John Holton overcooks it, trying to stay Matt Mellor overcooking to stay with Holton in the end. But what a finish to race number 3. What a finish to round number 1 here at Mugello.
A fantastic round of racing here at Mugello tonight to kick off this championship. It's Aaron Gilbert, though, who wins 3 out of 3, 2.2 seconds this time in front of Brett Loxton. Miguel Costa Teixeira getting onto the podium there in the end after chanting Dan Stevens for so long. Mark Poynton and Joe Mahoney needed a bit longer to get themselves involved. Michael Hammond finishes 7th in front of Gavin Cox, Phil Manuel and Henry King, who round out the top 10. Ryan Borg ends up 11th, holding off Colin Bruns. Matthew Day in the end there, ahead of David Duddo and Stephen Banks, the top 15. Dean Alessi was next. He held off Matt Hall, with Bray Loveridge next ahead of Wayne Taylor and James Clark rounding out the top 20. The rest of the finishers were headed by Charlie Hines, also in that group with Clark, John Holton, Matthew Mellor as well. Scott Watts 1 lap down there in the end with the final finisher, and the non-finishers Craig Bell, Josh Hines, and the non-starters Benjamin Smith, Cooper Cottrell, Ryan Muller and Lockie Delphin as well. Of course, the non-starters getting more numerous as the night went on, but 30 to begin with here, Jared, and 3 great races. Can't ask for much more than this opening round. Just to say, we're not back next week, and it's a few weeks' time before we can go racing again.
All it does, though, is whet the appetite for that second round, doesn't it? Just gets us a little bit more excited to see what the rest of this season brings. I think if that sets the bar for what we're going to see across the season here with Lark, it is going to rival some of the best racing that I've seen across any format in quite some time. Really, really great door-to-door racing. Very, very clean, hard passes made throughout. And you can't ask for much more than that. We're just taking a look to see if we can get a couple of the drivers in here, perhaps to have a bit of a chat to us it looks like we might be able to have a chat at the very least to Miguel Costa Texera, who joins us now. G'day, Miguel. Welcome on in.
Thank you very much. That was awesome racing, a night of racing, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is for sure. Let's start with race 3 though, freshest in our minds. Had to work hard to get past Dan Stevens there, but end up on the podium. How was that fight?
Yeah, that was amazing fun. I was actually just commentating with some of the boys, like far out. I really had to lock in there, and he was really good with his defensive positioning and placement of his car. So absolutely enjoyed that, and yeah, just was trying everything down to one pretty much around here. There's not any big enough braking zones to really go for a dive except for one, so as long as you can cover there, you're normally pretty good. So yeah, he's done really well, and I just managed to sort of like force the issue a little bit, and didn't know contact, of course, but yeah, just forced down that issue, and he obviously went wide braking on the marbles and got in behind him. But yeah, it was good fun.
Out of the 24 races that we're going to have this season, 5 of them are going to be the reverse grid races, one of which you've already seen here tonight. How was that second race? Because you're one of the top guys, having to work your way through quite a lot of cars there.
Yeah, that race was very interesting. Obviously, with the fuel restrictions, there's a bit of strategy in it. So I think I was the only one that boxed early as soon as the window opened and got in fresh air, because it was just absolute mayhem in the back of the pack. Like, really, we're going 4 or 5 wide in parts that shouldn't be. And I think that hopefully the drivers learn from tonight and learn how to race in those first few laps, because it was a bit hectic. But unfortunately, the safety car sort of screwed me over a little bit. Yeah, I gained probably 20 positions still, which was good. But yeah, nevertheless, if I didn't have that early safety car, I probably would have come out pretty far up the order and maybe had a bit of a lead. So that would have been cool to use that strategy to my advantage. But these tyres turn off, that's for sure, especially that it was 40 something degrees in that second and first race. So it was good fun.
Yeah, it was. It's a good point total for you, nevertheless, though, from this opening round of the season. Miguel, thanks for chatting to us at the end tonight, and congratulations on a decent points haul from round 1.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks everyone, and shout out Proline and Gripline, and cheers.
Thanks very much. That is the Proline Esports driver Miguel Costa Texera chatting to us at the end tonight. Finishing in 3rd place in the final race of the day, 4th place in the second race, and decent finish early on as well. But no finishes better than Aaron Gilbert so far, because he's not let anybody beat him tonight. 1st place in race 1, 2 and 3. Aaron, congratulations on such a great run tonight. I was saying at sort of midway through race 2, I didn't think over the course of the 5 3-race rounds that we have in this season that we were going to see somebody win all 3 races, and on the very same night you go on and do it. Were you expecting to have such a great success here tonight in Mugello?
After I put it on pole, I sort of thought I might be able to do well in the first one, but the second one was definitely, I didn't think that was on the cards at all, with the strength of field we had here tonight. Like, I was amazed. Like, I got front end damage on lap 1, and yeah, after that, I didn't think it was going to be a possibility, but somehow I pulled it off. I don't know how, but I did.
Just on that point for race number 2, especially, which you say was perhaps the most difficult of the 3, was that all down to the safety car? Would you say that you got the chance to win that race? Would it have been a completely different affair if there had been no safety car in the middle of that one?
It might have made it a little harder. If there was none, I would have had to pass probably more cars. But yeah, a lot of the faster guys that were spread through the field either got spun out or they got taken out, which probably made my job a little easier towards on that restart on the safety car. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
just.
Oh yeah, well, congratulations anyway on getting to the front there on race number 2 and well, winning all 3 races tonight indeed. Thanks for chatting to us at the end, and we look forward to seeing you again in a few weeks' time.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Aaron Gilbert, the winner in all 3 races tonight from Mugello. In the opening round of the Legacy Australian Racing Championship this season. I don't know if there's a waiting room where these people are coming from, Jared. I can't actually see them. I don't know if anybody's if there's any more.
Unfortunately, no, we haven't had Brett Loxton jump on into the green room for the moment, so we might have to leave it at that one. But I'm sure we'll get a chance to chat to him at some point later on in the season, I reckon.
I'd imagine so, but yeah, that will just about do it for us here tonight in the Legacy Australian Racing Championship. It's been a great round of this championship, a first round here for this season. Come back again in 3 weeks' time here on Simple Racing Broadcast for the Phillip Island round. That will be a 2-race day. 100-kilometre races on the 12th of June. No reverse grids in that one, just 2 100k's races. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to bringing you that on the Friday night in 3 weeks' time. For now, I've been Neil Leary alongside Jared Cole in the commentary box here of the opening round of the Legacy Australian Racing Championship. Join us again in 3 weeks' time here on Simple Racing Broadcast for that next round of the championship. Until then, though, it's goodbye for now.